assume or we have to choose a concentric Gaussian spherical surfaces of radius r1 and r2 respectively in order to compute the electric field intensity at the respective points. So I hope the spherical shell, the shell behaves as if the charge is concentrated at the center of the shell. So it is behaving as a point charge. The electric field, what we have noticed is that the magnitude of electric field is 0. That is, at a point inside the shell, the electric field was 0. So our graph will start from this R. After that, at R it reaches its maximum value, and whenever the point is on the shell, begin with the applications of Gauss's law. So first of all, we will see the first application of Gauss's law, that is to find the electric field due to a uniformly charged thin spherical shell. So for that, first we will visualize the situation. So what we need to consider? We need to consider a thin shell of radius r. We have to take a positive charge on it, which is uniformly distributed over it. That is, this will be considered as a thin shell. Now we have to find the electric field at a point inside it and electric field at a point outside it. Now we have to taken the inside point, it is at a distance of r1, and the outside point is at a distance of r2. So we have to assume we have to choose a concentric Gaussian spherical surfaces of radius r1 and r2 respectively in order to compute the electric field intensity at the respective points. So I hope the figure will be clear to you. What we are having in this particular figure, we are having a spherical shell of radius capital R. This is the first thing. Next, we have to take a Gaussian surface of radius r1 that will be inside the shell. And next we have to take another Gaussian surface of radius r2 which will be outside the shell. So this one will be our visualization. Next we will see the theoretical steps or the theoretical derivation steps that we have to write in exam so that we can get the clear marks. So for that, let us again assume that this particular figure. So what the steps that we have to write are: consider thin spherical shell of charge of radius r with the uniform surface charge density sigma. So this time here the charge is not mentioned in the article. We have to treat a spherical uniformly surface charge density sigma is spread on it. So this is the spherical shell of radius r that we have taken. Now the field is spherically symmetric. Due to this particular spherical charge distribution, the electric field will be spherically symmetric. What does this statement means is that at any point we will find which is equidistant from this shell, the magnitude of the electric field will always be the same or the constant, and it will always be pointing radially outward. So this is the meaning of spherically symmetric. That is, electric field at any point related to this spherical shell will be constant in magnitude, which is equidistant, and it will always be pointing radially outward. So you can depict it from the given figure. Now first case we have to consider when the point P lies outside the spherical shell. Now for the point P, now here see the figure. So here the point P lies outside the figure. So we have to take a spherical shell of a small r radius. So keep this in mind. We have to take this small radius with a radius vector r. Now we have to take a Gaussian surface to be a sphere of radius r with a center O which is passing through the P. So the spherical surface of radius r will be treated as a Gaussian surface. Now the electric field at each point on the Gaussian surface has the same magnitude and is along the radius vector at each point. That is, if the electric field is spherically symmetric, that means whatever electric field is passing through this Gaussian surface, that will be equal in magnitude, and it will be always pointing radially outward. So next, these things are the introductory steps that we have to write in the exam. Now next we have to go for the steps. The first step is in order to find the electric field, we must know the flux. That is, what is the flux passing through the Gaussian surface. We know the formula for the flux is E dot ds. This is by definition of the flux. So we have to simply apply this. Now E is constant, so we will take it as E only. ds means what is the area of the Gaussian surface. We know that the area of the Gaussian surface is 4 pi small r square because Gaussian surface has the radius of small r. So this one will be our flux associated with the Gaussian surface. Now next we have to consider what is the charge enclosed by this Gaussian surface. So what is the charge present inside the Gaussian surface? Reminded, the charge is present only on the spherical shell. It is present only, it is uniformly distributed on the spherical shell. So this charge is enclosed inside the Gaussian surface. So what will be its magnitude? So this we can find it out with the help of a formula. The surface charge density sigma is equals to Q upon area A. On rearranging this term, what we will get? Q is equals to sigma into A. And what is the area of the spherical shell? The area of the spherical shell is equals to, here we have to write sigma into 4 pi or this time we have to write capital R square because the charge is present in a shell of radius r. You have to keep this particular factor in mind, that the charge is present in a spherical surface of radius r, capital R, not small r. So these are the two key points here. We have to mention that flux is associated with the small r radius and the charge is associated with the capital R radius. I hope these 2 points will become clear to you. Now next, what will be our third point? Third point is by using the Gauss law, we have to write the formula of the flux, that is flux is equals to charge upon the epsilon naught here. So we have got two formula, that is first by the definition, first flux we have got it by the definition, and second we have got, this is the second formula that we have got by the Gauss's law. So we have to equate these two equations. On equating these two equations, their that is LHS side is equal, so there we have to make their RHS side equal, that is E into 4 pi of small r square is equals to Q by epsilon naught, and on rearranging E is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. So this is this nothing but the electric field intensity due to a point charge. So mind it, whenever the point P lies outside the spherical shell, the shell behaves as if the charge is concentrated at the center of the shell. So it is behaving as a point charge. The electric field intensity at any point outside the shell will be behaving as if the charge is concentrated at a single point. Now vectorially, if we want to represent E vector is equals to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught of r square, unit vector r, where unit vector r is pointing radially outward at any direction, the unit vector is always pointing radially outward. So this one will be our final expression. Next, we have to find the electric field due to a uniform charge thin spherical shell for the second case. Now again for this, what is the second case? When the point P lies inside the spherical shell. Again our diagram or the introductory points will remain the same. Once again I will explain you. We have to consider a spherical shell of charge of radius r with the uniform surface charge density sigma. That means here the charge is spread on a shell of radius r, capital R. So this complete portion of this shell complete is surrounded by the uniform charge which is called the sigma, surface charge density sigma. Now we want to we have to take a point inside the shell, that is the point P lies inside the shell, and we have to choose a Gaussian surface of radius r. So this one will be our next introductory step. So we have to choose a Gaussian surface of small radius r which lies inside it. Now again the step will be flux through the Gaussian surface, that is by definition we have to write the formula for the flux. Again the only three basic steps. First we have to write the flux by definition, next we have to write the flux by Gauss's law, and then we have to equate them. Only these two steps you need to concentrate. Again I am telling you. So here by definition, again if I will explain, phi is equals to E dot ds. Now electric field is constant, so it will remain as it is. What is the surface area of the Gaussian surface? This time it is 4 pi small r square. So this one will be our expression for the flux passing through the Gaussian surface. Next, what we have to treat it, charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface is 0. Why this is the situation arising? Because this time the Gaussian surface lies inside the spherical shell, and inside the spherical shell there is no charge. The charge is just spread uniformly on the spherical shell like this much. So this is the important key point this time, that the charge, there is no charge inside the shell. So if we choose a Gaussian surface inside the shell, the charge associated with the Gaussian surface will be 0. So this is the most important key point. Now next, again we have to make use of the Gauss law in order to find the flux. So flux is equals to Q by epsilon naught. Again this is by first equation by definition, and this is our second equation which is we have obtained by the Gauss's law. Now if we will equate this equation, that is E into 4 pi r square, that comes out to be the 0. Why it is 0? Because in the second equation charge is equals to 0. Here we have to put 0. So ultimately the electric field becomes 0 for the point P which lies inside the spherical shell. Hence electric field due to a uniformly charged spherical shell is 0 at all points inside the shell. So this is our important key point. So in derivation step, so again I will explain you, in order to derive such derivations with the help of Gauss's law, only two steps we need. What is the first step? First step is to write the flux with the help of a definition. Second, you have to write the flux formula by the Gauss's law, and then you have to equate these two equations, and on solving you will get the answer. Now our next case will be when the point P lies on the spherical shell. Now this is a very simple case. Here the charge is spread on the shell. Here the charge is of surface charge density sigma, uniform surface charge density sigma, the charge is uniformly spread entirely on this sphere. So we have to choose a Gaussian surface which just encloses the charged spherical shell. So here we have to choose the Gaussian encloses the charged spherical shell. So here again we have to apply the Gauss's law. By applying the Gauss's law, what we are getting, the flux to the Gaussian surface, this equation we are getting it by definition. So flux is equals to E dot ds. So this time if we will open up this surface area, so the Gaussian surface is surrounding the shell itself, that is Gaussian surface is also having a radius vector r, so this becomes 4 pi r square. Next step, what will be the next step? By using the Gauss's law, flux is equals to Q by epsilon naught. So again this is our second step. Two flux equations we need, first is by definition and second is by the Gauss law. Again we have to equate these two equations. So what we are getting, equating their RHS side, that is E into 4 pi r square is equals to Q by epsilon naught. On rearranging, E is equals to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught of r square, capital R square here we will get. So the surface charge density, now here in terms of surface charge density if we want to write, we will write sigma is equals to charge upon area. So here sigma is spread on capital R square, so the area becomes Q upon, that is 4 pi of r square. This is how we will get this formula, surface charge density. Now on rearranging this much terms, that is in order to rearrange the expression for the electric field intensity, what we are finding is that we can replace this Q, this 4, this pi and this r square. These terms, expressions, we can replace them by the sigma, and ultimately we will get E is equals to sigma upon epsilon naught. This epsilon naught is left. So this, now let us study the graph for the spherical symmetry. For that we have the graphical representation. Here we have to choose the r on x-axis and electric field on the y-axis. Now up to the point r, what we have noticed is that the magnitude of electric field is 0. That is, at a point inside the shell the electric field was 0. So our graph will start from this r. After that at r it reaches its maximum value, and whenever the point is on the shell, that is at a distance of r, the electric field intensity has its maximum value and it will be represented by this particular point. E is the magnitude. At maximum value will be at a distance of capital R when the we are computing the electric field on the shell. After that, what we have noticed, as we are moving away from the shell, that is at a point outside the shell, the electric field intensity decreases as we move away from the shell with the, this is the graphical variation, that is with r it varies inversely r square. This will be the graphical representation. So here what we have seen here, we have depicted the three situations. The first situation, let me explain. First is inside the shell. So that what we have represented here, we have got the expression electric field intensity was 0. Second is on the shell, when the point lies on the shell, electric field intensity here it was proportional to 1 upon of r square, that is its value is maximum in this situation. Now the third situation is whenever the point is outside the shell. Outside the shell, what we have obtained, the electric field intensity varies inversely as 1 upon r square. As this distance from the shell increases, the electric field intensity reduces. This is how we can show it with the graphical representation. Electric field intensity is varying inversely with the r square. So with this we have finished our first article of Gauss's law, application of Gauss's law.